ClimateSync, how do we create a zone list for the ClimateSync? So the first thing we do, we go to the website and we download the ClimateSync zone table. After we download it, we open it, and we can see that we have here 8 ClimateSyncs that we can configure, or even more. And each ClimateSync has 8 zones, and you can choose the application types. So let's look at the different application types, and then we will set one ClimateSync. So first of all, we look at the top, we have samples. These are not to set just to see the different samples that you have. Normally the cells are locked just to see the different options. So we have application types A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, and then we have F, A, F, B, F, C, F, D, F, E, and F, F. The FA and F to FF are Feinstein units, and the rest is regular systems, heating plus air conditioning or heating without air conditioning. So let's have a look at all the zones. So zone type A. Zone type A has heating and air conditioning, and that's right for A, B, C, D, E, and F. Sorry, A, B, C, D, E, E. Now, zone type A is with wet underfloor heating, and so is type B. The difference is that type A has no floor limit required, type B has floor limit required. If the floor limit is not required, if you will want to select over here, we'll just say not applicable. However, if we want to select over here, we can select the floor temperature limit which is required and set it over here. Then temperature to be controlled. So the temperature to be controlled could be different, it depends on the application. Sometimes we can control the floor temperature or the room temperature. There's different options that we can do. We will see that when we will look at the specific zones. But we can have it with floor temperature control. And in this case, we'll see some of them with room temperature, some with floor temperature. This will be selected automatically based on the application. And then we can choose the zone temperature sensor. So how do we want to sense the room temperature and control it? By a room symbol sensor connected to the ClimateSync. Or if there's an AC and we want to read the room temperature from the AC and apply it to the underfloor heating as well. Or if we have a local wired controller connected to the ClimateSync, a Modbus wired controller, we can sense the temperature from there and control it based on that. So let's have a look now at all the applications. Application A, heating and air conditioning with wet underfloor heating, no temperature limit required. Controlling the room temperature. Zone type B is pretty much the same. However, here floor limit is required, and we can also select the floor temperature we want to achieve maximum. We are controlling again the room temperature in this application. Type C. Type C is air conditioning with electric underfloor heating, no floor limit required. So it's similar to type A but not wet, but electric underfloor heating. Obviously when we will set it up on the device, electric underfloor heating will activate the zone but will not activate the boiler and the pump. Type D is electric underfloor heating with floor limit, and again over here we can select the floor temperature limit we want to have. Type E. E is a radiator, type E. So it's heating and air conditioning, but heating with a radiator. Obviously floor protection is not applicable as it's a radiator control. We can still be controlling the room temperature. There's no floor temperature to control or such option, but we can select which sensor we want to use. Type F. Type F is a zone set for AC only, which you can also control directly by the CoolMaster without the ClimateSync. But if you want to use the ClimateSync's temperature sensor to control the AC, then you will put it as type F on the ClimateSync. And then we're going to use a simple sensor from the ClimateSync to control the air conditioning. We will feed that temperature into the air conditioning through a cool plug, or on Mitsubishi Electric through the emulator. Type G. Type G, from G to M, it's all heating only zones. where type G, H, and I are all wet underfloor heating. First one, no floor limit required. The second one, floor limit is required, and both of them we are controlling the room temperature. However, type I, as we can see over here, here we're controlling the floor temperature. So, for example, in bathrooms, if we do not want to control the room temperature, the client just wants to keep the floor temperature comfortable, and he wants to control the floor temperature. And therefore, it's a different setup with floor temperature control. Type J, K, and L are the same as G, H, and I. However, this time instead of wet underfloor heating, electric underfloor heating, but the same thing. Without limit, with floor limit, and this one is for floor temperature control, as we can see over here. So those are up to type L. Then type M will be a radiator, room temperature control, heating only. So that's without air conditioning. That's type M. Type N will be just an on-off switch. So here we have an on-off only. We're using it with no temperature control, just using it for on-off. If you want to use it from the wiring center, for example, to switch a fan on and off. O and P, towel radiators. O is towel radiator with on-off only. Therefore, no temperature control. We're just switching on and off a time. The radiator, you can schedule it at different times if you want. P will also towel rad, but with room temperature control. So it's very similar to radiator style. So it's the same application as radiator, but when we will get to the AutoCAD diagram, we'll use type P, and it will mention over there that it's a towel radiator. This is again on-off only, with temperature control. Type Q, R, and S, all three are hot water control, where type Q is hot water on-off only, where we will only activate the relay, but we will not be temperature controlled. Just as a scheduled timer, we will use it, or just to switch on and off the hot water. Type R and S. So R is hot water with temperature control, where it will activate only the valve, but will activate it based on temperature control. So we will take a temperature sensor, and put it inside the cylinders, the hot water tank, thermal well. Put inside the temperature sensor, and we can control the water temperature in the cylinder. But this one will only activate the valve, assuming that the zone valve will be activating the boiler. But if we need to activate the boiler as well, we can do that. We will use type S, and that will be temperature controlled, and will activate both the local zone valve and the boiler demand. And these last two applications, we are controlling the hot water cylinder temperature. The next 6 applications are applications for wet fine coil units, water fine coil units. And here we have water fine coil units with wet underfloor heating, without floor temperature limit. We have fine coil unit with wet underfloor heating with floor temperature limit, and again, if there is floor temperature limit, we can select what temperature we want to limit the floor to. The next two are similar to the last two, just electric underfloor heating. Obviously, they do not activate the boiler and the pump, those specific zones, and therefore they are different type of zones, but do the same operation, but with electric underfloor heating instead of wet underfloor heating. And type FE is a fine coil plus a radiator, and FF is fine coil only, similar to AC only, where we can use it in order to control the fine coil, and in this case also sense the room temperature from the same sense, from that sensor. Now to fill up the zones themselves. So here we go on each one. When we select the, let's say for example, we select type B for zone number 1, and we can see straight away it generates everything, and we want floor limit on this one, so we can select the floor temperature we want. And that's the way we can do the whole wiring center. Just select the different applications that we need on each zone. It will straight away generate all the other details. You can add the required information. So you will add over here on the sheet as well the room names over here, the floor, if you want which underfloor heating manifold reference, and as we see, that's for ClimateSync number 1, and so you'll do to every ClimateSync. Once this sheet is ready, based on this sheet you can prepare a diagram, and we can also deliver the ClimateSync over to you with all the settings for each zone as you sent us with this sheet, so you can just plug and play on site, just install, connect, and everything should work outside of the box. Thank you for watching.